The bridge has got concrete on the top of all the pylons except one. And that section, those pylons collapsed in 1998. The bridge collapsed. And that made everybody have to do that long journey. Alright, so we'll head up. We've got about 300 metres to go before we start to really get into the Crocs, but keep your eyes open. There's one dead ahead of us in the water about 40 yards. It's going to go down our port side, left side. We'll keep going. A little female. And we're still not in the zone where we can operate, so we have to head up there another 200 metres or so, and then we'll be in the feeding zone. Back behind the tree line trying to get some heat from the sun. So that'll make it, what's going to make it hard, they won't be in the water, they'll be out on the land. Some of them are in, near the landing, that's because I've been dealing with the boat this morning. We're going to have to try and draw these guys in. Got the run up and the run back, so if we don't be successful on the run up, that should give the Crocs enough time to enter the water for our run back. And we know they're not in the water's pretty cool. They don't want to lose too much body heat, so they'll have to come out to energise. And what we'll do is we'll just make our way slowly up. There's about 100 crocodiles within this 3 kilometres. There's quite a lot here, and getting them into the water and getting them to do what we want can be very difficult. Now we'll keep an eye out ahead of us, and I'll keep an eye out behind us. We're going to zigzag a bit from side to side, touch on both sides as we try and locate the Crocs. First one is coming out over here on the right-hand side. Sure, we'll just come into the heat over here from the water, so I can't tell if it's a crocodile yet. So what we're going to do is try not to bang the tree trunks and logs that are under us coming into the bank here. We'll just see if it is a crocodile or a barramundi. We get 3 types of sharks in here as well. If it's not a crocodile, we'll think it is. Take a few minutes, maybe a minute to find out, but we'll have to do this a lot. Jump up there, They'll get set up. So this is a real patience thing. You have to have a lot of patience for this. Yeah, this can be difficult, so I think we've got something here or something. I'm not sure. We'll just find out for sure. It is a female, so we're just getting it to the food source now. Now it'll just appear on the targets, it's right there. You want to catch a fish this size on your line. Huh? Now they're not interested particularly in the food, so it's going to be difficult for us. We have to watch these boats, these fishing boats. Now what we're seeing with the projections from the water, what they call jumping, is actually a natural characteristic that crocodiles use to secure birds and things like that out of trees and animals off riverbanks. Just the same as people would jump for high things and animals would jump for things out of reach, so do the crocodiles project like they are here. We're just going to try and get that back. Now we want to, we don't want her to get it straight away. We want to get a bit of stuff in for her. So we want to get her to do a couple of jumps and things before she gets any food. And just so you know, this is just a chicken frame. So we're just using the back end of the chicken. I've got it tied by the parson's nose, and this is what's left after you guys get all your chicken fillets. Now we're going to see if we can get it to the other side. Because the Crocs are a bit difficult at the moment, we'll see if we can do them on both sides. Each one. Now this is a female, she's about 16 years old and she owns this area here. This is her territory. We'll just see if we can maneuver her. What's that?
What's the general lifespan of this?
We think they can live for about 100 to 150 years. There's been no formal studies to determine how long they can actually live for. So no formal studies that have ever been done to determine the lifespan of a saltwater crocodile. We need about 200 years to know for sure, so oops. I try not to bang it around with the feed pole, but it can be dangerous and you might get dripped on. But this is all human consumption food, so don't think it's all rotten meat. This is fresh food that you guys could eat before it goes into the water. They haven't got much energy yet until they sun themselves. So they need to energise by sunning. They're not like us, they don't derive their energy by eating. They get their energy from the environment. So body heat. You know what happens when you get super hypothermic? The hemoglobin in our blood starts to solidify as well because it drops below a certain temperature and the blood thickens. Just by not having the right temperature. Like a car, you know, your oil's not quite viscous enough if you don't have that 36 to 37 degrees in our body. So again, we're just trying to get her to be focused on the food. Now, we want her to surface if we're going to get that back, because we need her to open her mouth, and she's just going to take that probably. If she does, I hope you got some photos. Now, she can't swallow underwater, so she'll have to come up to swallow it. And when she swallows it, opens her mouth hopefully to swallow it, we're going to try and get it back out. Now we're only holding it on a couple of strands of 4-ply crochet cotton, so it's not very strong. And this thread we're using is 100% digestible by then. Okay. It's just pure cotton. And she's not going to open. Here we go, so she's going to swallow it. You see how she lifts her head to swallow it? Now she's got a valve across the back of her throat, it's called a palatial valve. In humans, the remnant of that palatial valve is the epiglottis, the back of our throat. That's a remnant of the palatial valve from crocodiles. Because humans and mammals evolved from this species. According to science, we evolved from the reptile, not from dinosaurs or... And remember too that crocodiles are not dinosaurs. These are the world's largest lizard, the world's largest reptile. The last one, guys, so make sure you get some pickies. Now the closer you get to the bars and mesh, the less bars and mesh you'll have in your photos. Okay? If you get right up to that hole here, see here, come back, and you line up there and slide across as well. She won't hit it. And then you'll get no bars and mesh and you get fantastic footage. The GoPros are a great idea. You got them set up to the apps on your phone and all that?
Yeah, got the YouTube channel.
I haven't done it. I've got a GoPros and that at home. I'm just trying to get footage because I've done this a long time but never taken any real photos. Alright, we'll keep moving up, see what else we can find. We've got a male on the other side of us, actually, an alpha.
Oh wow, oh, huge.
So this is a 4.8 metre male. So he's about 700 kilos.
The big boy, he's staring at us.
So what we do is he's just focused on the food source. He's waiting to come out. So they know that there's a particular food source. Now he's not all that good at projecting from the water. This is sneaky. No, I only nicknamed him. So he's about a 1/3 size saltwater crocodile. They can get 3 times bigger.
He's got to be out.
Now remember, Sneaky doesn't really like to jump around. So.
He is very sneaky, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very sneaky. So I only give crocodiles names. Everybody wants names, and they don't have any from birth. So I give them to them as characteristical names. So they get names by what they do and how they do it. We're going to bring him over here by touch. Remember I said about touching the water?
Yeah.
And they will immediately respond.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, well, he's 3/4 the length of our boat. And he weighs heavier than the boat, so he, without people in, so he's about 3/4 of a tonne. We're only seeing a very small proportion. If we had no high water, we'd have mud banks on the low tides. I'd be able to get him out for you so you can see him out of the water on the mud, which is much more impressive. So we'll do the same here. We'll give you a chance to do this. And we're getting him to knock the food out of the way with his snout. So we can get a bit more in. Now he won't get teased or anything, so don't think I'm teasing him here. He doesn't even know I'm here doing this, and he doesn't know you're on the boat. Do you know how I know that he doesn't know you're here?
He's not looking at us.
No, he's not in here.
Oh, okay.
Because he can come in here over the bars.
Yeah.
The bars and the mesh aren't here to keep the crocs out, they're here to keep us out. So those bars and mesh are about keeping the people under control, not the animals. The animals are fine, we just got to do what it takes. And people make mistakes. Complacency.
Bloody hell, we do.
So complacency is a huge killer. On the road especially. You guys get complacent on the road, don't you?
Absolutely. I'm not gonna say I don't.
You drive along telling people, oh, how terrible's that? They're talking on their phone and talking on their phone. 10 minutes later, you're talking on your
the
phone.
phone.
You know, so and up in the territory, it's an $800 fine and 4 points off your licence if you get caught. You only get 13 points. I've never lost 1 point in my whole life. And I got my licence when I was 14 by the copper in the town where I grew up. Because he got sick of me driving the car around the town, so he actually gave me a letter to state that I could drive the car in the town, but nowhere else. That's back in those days.
That's how they used to do it though.
Back in the days when the coppers used to drive around with a beer on their neck. Sometimes some of the fat comes back in here. I'll just back the boat up because that's no good. They move so fast, you guys will never get that on film. And a bit more out there. And we have permits obviously to interfere with all these creatures. They're all endangered and on the all protected. As you know, all Australian wildlife is protected. You know that, don't you? Mm-hmm. Everything. So always remember it's an offence to go out and shoot a kangaroo without a permit and tags. You can't just go and shoot one for the dogs. If you get caught, you're in trouble. Doesn't matter. You can go and shoot reds and greys if you've got permits and tags. A mate of mine shoots them outside Queensland. I don't really like it, but he shoots them there. He gets 1.4 million tags a year. Each one represents an animal. And they're shot to manage the population, to keep the population from dying out. Alrighty, we'll move up a bit further. Make sure you get the last of those photos with the kites. And we'll see what else we can try and find something else. We know we've got a couple of Crocs hanging around us here. We might go over to that channel and we'll see if we can get them in. Yeah, they eat everything. These birds you'll see mostly eating animals and creatures along the side of the road. But they're usually here for the fire season. That's when they do nearly all their feeding is during the fire time. Yeah, so they take the insects, the birds, the lizards and things, get flushed out by the fire, and you'll see thousands